I'd like to call a Weston Village Board order for the budget workshop meeting. We can all pledge, stand and say pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We'll do a roll call.
Maloney,
Here.
Cronin,
He said he wouldn't make it. I don't know if he called anybody else.
Ermeling,
Here.
Serraro,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Zagami.
Here. Okay, thank you. Public comments, Jim?
Jim Hudson, 5002 Arrow Street, Weston. Good evening. Tonight, there's an agenda item for discussion and or action on 2026 budget priorities. The board needs to take a good hard look at its prior expenditures and learn from them. Not being able to fund necessary basic needs like public safety clearly demonstrates that a complete overhaul of our spending is needed. Every single line item needs to be evaluated on a need versus want basis. Police officers, firefighters, snow plowing services, clean water, those are needs. Turf ball fields, the farmer's market, or even a pool. Those are luxury items and wants. The last meeting, there was a young mother who spoke in opposition to the newly proposed fire tax. She made it clear how we the people need to budget responsibly and prioritize our needs versus wants. This board needs to do the exact same thing. Being as how there's exactly zero content in the request for consideration prepared for tonight's meeting, I would ask that this board actually look at every dollar spent and make sure that we are paying for the needs well before approving any expenditures for the wants. All of this must take place before remotely considering the mandate of our taxpayers to pay another dime for a fire tax. Prove to all of us that responsible spending has taken place and every single expenditure which was classified as a want was removed from the budget. I look forward to hearing this discussion tonight. Let tonight be the first step in the direction toward responsible fiscal policy. Thank you.
Okay, minutes from previous meetings, none. Unfinished business, none. New business, review of budget process and funds presentation.
So we do have a PowerPoint prepared for tonight and we'll bring that up, but last year we had started the budget presentations with a video, a fun moment, something that kind of we had heard from the board, kind of set the mood. And so we had a couple more tonight couple more through this budget process. This is the first one this evening. If there's one that you like and you want to share, please feel free to share it with Jessica and we can play that one too, so.
Back in New York, I am the head of development for a nonprofit called Robin Hood. When I'm not fighting poverty, I'm fighting fires as the assistant captain of a volunteer fire company. Now, in our town, where the volunteers supplement a highly skilled career staff, you have to get to the fire scene pretty early to get in on any action. I remember my first fire. I was the second volunteer on the scene, so there was a pretty good chance I was going to get in. But still, it was a real foot race against the other volunteers to get to the captain in charge to find out what our assignments would be. When I found the captain, he was having a very engaging conversation with the homeowner who was surely having one of the worst days of her life. Here it was, the middle of the night. She was standing outside in the pouring rain, under an umbrella, in her pajamas, barefoot, while her house was in flames. The other volunteer who had arrived just before me, let's call him Lex Luthor, got to the captain first and was asked to go inside and save the homeowner's dog. The dog! Oh, I was stunned with jealousy. Here was some lawyer or money manager who for the rest of his life gets to tell people that he went into a burning building to save a living creature. Just because he beat me by 5 seconds. Well, I was next. The captain weighed me over. Said, Bezos, I need you to go into the house. I need you to go upstairs, past the fire, and I need you to get this woman a pair of shoes. I swear. So, not exactly what I was hoping for, but off I went. Up the stairs, down the hall, past the real firefighters who were pretty much done putting out the fire at this point, into the master bedroom to get a pair of shoes. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I'm no hero. I carried my payload back downstairs where I met my nemesis and the precious dog by the front door. We took our treasures outside to the homeowner where, not surprisingly, his received much more attention than did mine. A few weeks later, the department received a letter from the homeowner thanking us for the valiant effort displayed in saving her home. The act of kindness she noted above all others, someone had even gotten her a pair of shoes. You know, in both my vocation at Robin Hood and my avocation as a volunteer firefighter, I am witness to acts of generosity and kindness on a monumental scale. But I'm also witness to acts of grace and courage on an individual basis. And you know what I've learned? They all matter. So as I look around this room at people who either have achieved or are on their way to achieving remarkable levels of success, I would offer this reminder. Don't wait. Don't wait until you make your first million to make a difference in somebody's life. If you have something to give it now. Serve food at a soup kitchen, clean up a neighborhood park, be a mentor. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save somebody's life, but every day offers us an opportunity to affect one. So get in the game. Save the shoes. Thank you. Come back.
I will pull up our presentation.
So what'd you ask us to do?
Just
Which-
if there's another video or, I mean, that was a TED Talk. It doesn't have to be a TED Talk, but something that you'd like to have shared at a budget meeting. Again, last year, we just had started sharing those videos. We may show Kid President again. That one was well received last year. So
I just have this feeling that Louis is gonna be able to do quite a few of them. So I think you can't do your second one until all of us have done one. So I'm just teasing. But those TED Talks are good. Those are very thought provoking.
So 2026 budget. Jessica and I will be kind of throwing it back and forth this evening. And I think this presentation it's our first presentation is gonna just be a good reference presentation. Going forward with how funds are set up, how the budget is set up. Waiting for my slide to advance. There we go.
Okay, as a reminder, the budget is a mathematical confirmation of your suspicions. There is no magic calculator, there's no crystal ball. So when we are creating this budget, what we can do is we can look at where we've come from, which is usually last year. We look at last year and we look to see, well, what are the changes? Unlike the belief of some, we don't just add on, we do remove and we do change to what is needed. And we look at the needs for next year. Our budget has been squished for so many years that there's not a lot of non-operating, non-necessary items in our budget. The next slide we want to look at is the budget shall reflect the values and priorities of our nation and its people. Let's replace nation with village. This is, it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year or two ago, we did our strategic plan. And in that plan, we reached out to the public. We had private sessions, listening sessions to our people and we need to take a look back and see what were their priorities so we can incorporate that into our priorities as we move forward with this budget. Just be patient. Or not.
So this slide is just, it's fast facts on kind of,
Just a point. So none of this will be on our computers?
It is
It
on
is
your
on.
computer.
It
it
is.
should be.
Okay.
Song loaded it right before the meeting.
Okay.
I think it's just a different
It's the second
tab.
tab up top. Oh.
That one up there.
Which one?
Number 6, maybe.
Number
Yours
six.
doesn't, yours.
Don't feel so bad. Yeah, that's where I clicked. Yep. Oh, so that's where it is. Okay.
Carmen Husheng, do you see it?
I got it now.
There's the
He-
budget
He's got it. Thank you.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Super. Thank you.
So just some fast facts about
Right at the top.
the numbers that we get from the state. This is total assessed value, total equalized value, and net new construction. And it does have the past several years that are up there, but our assessed value is how we determine mill rate. Our equalized value is how we determine the value within the TIFs, and the net new construction, that dollar amount gives us our percentage in increasing levy by 0% or net new construction. So Village of Weston's net new construction percentage for the next taxing year is 2.29%. But overall, you can see that was $40 million of new construction. You can see there some comparables with the other villages around us and the county as a whole. So while we were 2.29%, the county as a whole was 1.61. And you could see up there, Rib Mountain was 0.80. And they had $10 million of net new construction. So just as we're thinking about what net new construction means and adding new projects, that 40 million is a significant number, but when you also think about what's happened on Rib Mountain Drive or in other communities, you can kind of see how that equates to what we can increase that levy number, 0% or net new construction. Tonight, then just going through the budget process, we usually start with general funds. Tonight, we're gonna do a little bit of overview of how the funds are set up, and then we move into the all other funds that we have. The board will drill down, we'll bring you back some information from the finance and HR committee. Again, they chose to work on wages and benefits again this year and forward recommendations. So we'll see those come towards the end of September. Then we already have the schedule planned out for these meetings. And then we would look to have a budget put together by the end of October. We have to provide a notice then, and that would come out before Thanksgiving, usually the week before Thanksgiving, we approve in order to make it to tax bills in early December. So our goals right now are to get us to have it put together by the end of October in order to meet our notice deadline for the budget. Then the village has 10 different funds that have wage and expenses allocated to them. And each fund has its own source of revenues to pay for those expenses.
Okay, the first fund we want to talk about is the governmental funds. So in the governmental funds, there's the general fund, special revenue fund, debt service, and capital projects fund. The general fund is we record everything that doesn't fit anywhere else. Special revenue funds cannot have a majority of the revenues coming from general tax levy. In other words, these funds have revenues that they bring in for a specific purpose. For example, refuse recycling, there's a garbage fee on your tax bill, and then the pool that has some taxes, some room tax, but majority of the revenues come from user fees, and then the TIF district. The TIF district, the tax monies that the TIF district receives is usually referred to as increment, not general tax levy. Debt service fund accounts for all resources and payments related to the long-term debt of the general government. Any debt related to the proprietary funds, also referred to as the utilities, that is recorded within those funds. The last one is the capital projects fund, not to be confused with the CIP. CIP stands for Capital Improvement Program. That CIP program plan that we will bring forward that encompasses everything. That'll include the general like streets. It'll also include any water, sewer, storm expenditures. We do incorporate the CIP program and record the necessary items into our capital projects fund, which we then mostly fund with geodebt. Okay, next one. Okay, Fund 10. We're gonna go through Fund 10 first. As I said, it's the fund that basically everything is recorded in that doesn't belong anywhere else. So it's our major activities, which is police, fire, and general government, streets, parks, elections. It's all in here. In this fund, approximately 2.5 million are wages and benefits. This fund relies heavily on taxes and intergovernmental revenues. Here's a quick look at our 2026 proposed budget. It's not ready to be adopted yet, but this is where we're looking at right now. We're looking at approximately $361,000 increase over last year. The majority of that will be coming from intergovernmental revenues. We are receiving a general transportation aid increase, and we have a shared revenue increase. The main line that you see for the fines and forfeitures, we're changing the accounting procedure. Last year, we budgeted net, meaning that we took the total revenue, subtracted the expenditures, and we budgeted $32,000. This year, we're taking a different approach. Auditors need us to record full revenues and full expenditures. So you'll see a little bit, kind of messes up our budget a little bit, but you'll see that same large change on the expenditure side. Next one. This is a really good slide. It shows our revenues since 2018. So if you look way on the bottom, there's percentages here, and you can see the minimal increase in the revenues every year. And then you can go the specific change by the specific source. As you can see, our taxes have not changed much. In the years 2023 and 2022 and 2023, the 204 and 213, that is when we were able to use the joint fire levy exemption line. So when SAFER came in with their budget those 2 years, we qualified to use a special line on our levy limit worksheet, which allowed us to increase our levy more than normal. As you can see, those years around that were not that high. 2021, we could increase our levy 139,000. Then 2024 was only 70,000.
And in 2024, that increase percentage was shared revenue. The reason why that one is 7 was when we got the shared revenue boost.
The next slide shows a really good graph. It really shows the majority of our revenues that we receive for the village are property taxes. Those are the very limited with the state revenue levy limit caps. We are unable to adjust that number any more than what we have for the last, at least since 2018. When we did prepare the village budget, we used 2.7 for CPI. That CPI number was used for, well, we used 3% CPI for wages, and the benefits for health insurance, we used 10%. So when you look at the following numbers, that includes an insurance increase of 10% and a 3% CPI. This graph here will show you the majority of the increase that we're going to be seeing is from personnel. We got approximately $94,000 increase in personnel services, and then the contractual services. Next year we are planning on, we increased our street maintenance by $50,000, kind of correlates with $100,000 of our general transportation aid we received. We took 50,000 of that, and we put it to our street maintenance. Another 15,000, we are doing a comp plan this year. So when you look at the plan dev budget, you're gonna see a larger increase there, and that is for a one-time comp plan. Not one time, but it doesn't happen, it's an annual thing, so you're gonna see an increase there for that. Right now, this is a snapshot of where we're at. These are all very preliminary. We need to go through them as staff and and we will also be bringing them back to the board in detail for everyone to look through.
But it's starting point. Then recycling fund, that's Fund 18 is our recycling fund. That's where we do both the refuge and recycling pickup, but also the Ryan Street site and the maintenance of our landfill, because we still do testing out at the landfill. So this is, the funds within Fund 18 are not levy funds, they're special charges. And as we know, we're moving to Harder's. We just approved that agreement, and that will go out in our quarterly newsletter. But in addition, it does include the spring and fall pickup, which is very popular in the community, and the dates will be in the upcoming newsletter too.
Uh,
On the, I'll just let me find the line here. The municipal court, I see in 25, we didn't budget anything.
As I said before, last year we netted them. We took the total revenue and minus the expense, and we only budgeted the revenue. Our auditors don't like that, and they need them separated. So this year we are budgeting expenditures and revenue separately.
Okay, because I was wondering, I'm going, okay, 65,000, that's a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of money, you know.
You know, I didn't warn you beforehand, but we need to follow along. We have not put these PowerPoint slides on your computers. If you want to move slower, we can move slower, but we
I just noticed that and I'm going, wait a minute, 65,000 is a big increase.
yeah, I know. I know.
And I'm wondering why, and I assume I'll see the revenue source on the next slide.
So we already went through the revenues. Do you want to go back up?
Yeah,
Okay,
missed it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That just caught my eye because it was
Hmm.
0 and then all of a sudden that dollar amount. And where in the heck is?
Fines and forfeitures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 82.6.
Okay. Oh. So it's gonna decrease by 7,994.
These are preliminary numbers. As I stated before, they really need some tweaking. We needed, as you know, August isn't even done. So we don't have a lot of our numbers. And so we're kind of just, some of them might have just changed a little bit from last year. So we wanted to get the discussion going. We want to get the wheels turning on where we're at.
That just caught my, and I'm going, okay. So, okay, go ahead. I'm good.
I will pause back. Any other questions on revenues or expenditures in general?
So then the increase that the streets and roads are getting, we're using about half of that. to go-
So general transportation aid is over $100,000 increase, and we did take approximately $50,000 and we put it to street maintenance.
Okay, so we are using some of it for street.
We did. Is it gonna end up that way? I don't know. That's obviously where the board needs to decide the priorities right now, and we just wanted to give a quick overview to get your mind going and refresh you on the different categories and how we budget.
I'm good. Looking at them and kind of.
We will be bringing you the detail next time. This is just really a quick overview. I'm hoping as we bring in the information to you, we'll bring it in smaller chunks Like we'll bring a couple departments so you guys can look at the couple departments. We'll have the departments heads here. We'll talk about the increases and the services that are provided by those departments. We hope to get more conversation going on next time. Hopefully more conversation between us and you guys to make it a really great budget discussion.
Okay.
I want to note before I get called out on it, so the police, we do budget $100,000 of the police increase in capital. So that's why when you looked at up there and saw the police increase was not as much as you maybe would have thought it would have been. That is because we do budget $100,000 in capital projects fund.
What are the capital projects?
What?
What are the capital?
It's new squads.
Huh?
New squads.
New squads.
It's equipment. That is equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is their life on the squads?
We cannot afford them any other way.
We'd have to ask Chief what his life is on squads so that we can ask him to have that. I don't,
The only reason I say that is I always kind of question, when, I know years ago, we had used capital to purchase a piece of equipment that we were still paying for it. And it
We haven't done that
ran out
for a
of its
while.
life already, you know.
We borrowed squads with Everest Metro. They were always put to the capital. Previously with Everest Metro, 3 to 5 years, which was not uncommon.
Well, as long as they're paid for before we buy, you know, more.
again, maybe just to point out on the revenues and expenditures there, again, on preliminary numbers, just wanting to get the wheels turning, the difference here is about $310,000. So as we're talking about funds and then talking about priorities, just again, preliminary numbers, but a snapshot of where we're at this moment. So Aquatic Center, Fund 22, does rely on levy, room tax, and fees. Kind of a synopsis of 2024 actual, 2025, where we're at this moment of time, and proposed for 2026.
Those are all preliminary. I don't think Sean even looked at those yet. We didn't get the Y numbers yet. We didn't get the final utility numbers for this year. So everything's pretty preliminary. I think at least one more month. Usually once August and halfway through September, we can get some better numbers for that.
If something happens with Schofield and Rothschild's pool, and would we realize that gain in 26 or in 27?
I think it would depend on how quickly Rothschild and Schofield would want to move forward.
Mhm.
So I do think it might have the potential of 26 if there was a joint venture that occurred through the winter, but
There a capacity there for to have 3 municipalities there?
I think that there's capacity. I mean, it depends on the day, but there are moments when we're full and then they have to wait for someone to leave, but they usually wait for someone to leave and or they come back a little later.
Only one day this year.
Okay.
What is the timeframe? I think I heard it this last year, 3 hours. You can't stay all day, right?
No, you can stay all day.
Oh, you can't. Oh,
You show up at 11 and stay till 7.
oh, okay. I thought I heard something that there's, people have to leave at certain times or something. No?
That was COVID.
What?
That was COVID year.
Oh, okay. Got it.
You're gonna come at
And
11
we've
and
had
stay
one,
till 7.
and we've had 1 year or 1 day this year that it was maxed, right? Okay, that's great. So, and we don't have a percentage of where everyone's coming from because we don't track where they're coming from, what municipality.
Only if they have a season pass.
Season pass, we know, but what is season passes versus usage versus daily? We know that.
I would,
don't know.
well, no. I mean,
We have the record.
we know the record and we know what came in on daily passes.
So, I mean, that'd be interesting. We don't track municipalities because right now we're taking other municipalities. But it'd be a good thing to see what is seasonal and then we would know that track versus what municipality they came from, right? And then the dailies, we would not be able to tell. You know, because there's no indication, they're just paying a daily fee. But then at
Right.
least we would know that, you know, is it a 40/60? Is it what, you know?
Yeah, we switched to straight rate multiple years ago. Otherwise, we did a resident, non-resident rate.
Right,
Right.
but how do
Still
you,
wanted to track which municipality,
but how do you know?
you
Yeah,
know, but it was a tracking nightmare at that point because you're literally looking at a map after somebody gives you their address for every person that comes in. But we're down on season pass sales for Weston residents only this year. So if that has anything to do with it, but
okay.
So all your budget come from room tax and
not
No,
all of it, no, mostly it's revenue from the pool. Most of it's revenue from the pool.
still you showing shortage here, what, 31,000 or something,
There's
83,000?
$40,000 tax, the pool revenue is the one in the 140s. And then miscellaneous revenue, which I would assume would be like other parties, donations, that kind of thing.
We've been doing a room tax addition from the room tax for 40,000, correct?
Yep.
For how many years?
And levy of 40
For-
also.
I know, but how long? Forever. And we ain't talking
10
40,000 for
years.
how long?
8 years, 10 years.
Oh, at least, yeah, at least, yeah. Okay.
So you don't get anything from tax money,
40,000.
40,000.
40,000?
Yeah.
40 levy, 40 room tax,
Right.
and the rest is revenues.
And then we don't have like pool maintenance pulled out, right? I mean, do we have the?
We have we have a budget and each year in
So
this, in our normal aquatic center budget of 30,000 right now.
In labor dollars?
And 30,000 in maintenance.
Wow, okay, that's not bad. I would have thought a lot more. Oh, yeah,
Well, any large projects are done through the CIP.
okay, okay,
How
okay.
old is the pool?
It opened in 99.
So
It was season 27.
27.
That's pretty wild.
Well, then as you go longer, your costs also go higher, probably. You're continuously upgrading your equipment, changing equipment.
Oh, I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, safety,
We literally went from $1.94 for a gallon of chlorine in 2019, and right now we're paying $4 a gallon. Over double price.
Yeah.
It's not just pool, water utility too, so. And that's just chlorine. It's not the only price increase we've seen, so.
does that labor include the lifeguards too?
No,
Oh, okay,
that's contracted services.
right, okay.
It is in the expenses.
Yeah.
So Mike, the water utility doesn't, it's all user fee. We don't get money from any other place, right?
No, yeah, that's all, utilities is all,
User
yeah,
fee.
user fee,
Right.
your water bill.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're
Yeah.
almost there.
The water utility, I think, might be the highest taxpayer to the village. For what that's worth.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next funds we want to look at are 21, 26, and 27. From that list, we no longer have 28 for 2026 because our TIF 2 debt will be paid off. So 21 is our special revenue TIF fund, and 26 are special revenue TIF fund 2, and 27 is our CDA TIF 1. In all these funds, we record approximately $165,000 in wages. And the funds rely on tax increment, not general levy. When we do close, all the operations and all the wages will be coming back to the general fund. Here's a quick update on our TIF. I talked before about the decrease that the state gave us. You can see TIF 1 was a change of negative 25% and TIF 2 a negative 56%. The increment for TIF 1 will drop approximately 3.7 and TIF 2 will have 0. Quick snapshot of the TIF debt. This is our TIF 1 debt. We're looking at closing, but we can't close till we pay off this debt. as soon as the increment in the fund accumulates enough, we will be making sure that we call the debt. We'll have to call the CDA back together to call the debt, and then we can close the TIF.
So when are you anticipating that? What year?
We'll talk more about that when we bring the TIF debt, the TIF back up. There's a lot of changes going on. We're still trying to get Weston Avenue completed. So big numbers are in question right now, so. Civic Trust Fund. So I want to bring this one up because there was kind of misinformation at our last meeting. The farmer's market, this includes the farmer's market and the scholarship CD. This farmer's market does not have any tax levy. We get the license, so weights and measures, license fees, and then we also have the permits for the vendors pay to go to the farmer's market.
And we're not leasing the land, it's,
It's at least $1 a year.
yeah, so it's basically free from a private party, okay?
Yes, so
Right, because you hear quite often, oh, farmers were subsidizing it.
Nope.
And we're
Nope,
not.
never
And
have.
I don't know why.
Never have.
and we do make we do try very hard to make sure that the farmers there selling produce actually grow their produce. We do not want those people buying it. Renee makes sure that in the beginning, she verifies all that. And we have a lot of different stuff coming. Because obviously in the spring, there's not a lot for vegetables, but we bring in the people who sell a variety of stuff, and our farmers market very well supported in this area.
Very successful.
Right, and from what I understand, Renee's time is through the license cost, the money we get from license is what pays her wages, right?
So Renee's salary and the amount of time and effort she puts into the farmer's market is usually above and beyond. She is there on Saturdays. She might leave for an hour on Tuesday, but meets me in and leaves after me every day. So definitely she does not clock. The effort she puts in is far beyond what we could compensate her for, so. She just has a passion for this.
Right. I know.
I can't see farm market have any cost for the village. Yeah. What is it then there to have a cost for the village?
The cost for the village, so what you're seeing in there is the tokens. So we record the tokens are revenue and expense. So if you look at the detail, when we bring the detail, you're gonna see like a token cost, say, of $5,000, and then you're gonna see the token reimbursements of $5,000. That's a lot of what you're gonna see between the 11,000 and the 18,000.
Scholarship CD?
Scholarship CD, we have not been paying it out since interest rates dropped so much. We have a CD, it's between $5,000 and $6,000. We're keeping track of that interest, and then once it generates enough revenue, we will bring it to the board to see if we can issue some more scholarships.
So in 25, you had $4,600 under on farmer market.
Estimate, you mean?
Oh,
$4,600.
That's a 2025 estimate, so that's not a final number.
no, that's not finalized. If you look at the estimate for the miscellaneous revenue, it's actually less than actual. And then the farmer's market expense isn't necessarily close to the actual either.
And there is a slight fund balance
Yeah.
in the farmer's market too. It has made money over the years, not cost money.
Besides, it brings a lot of people in and community goodwill and
So it's extremely used. I mean, I hear talk about it all the time. And then, and it's usually Tuesday, Saturdays, right?
Tuesday, Saturday.
So why would he open Sunday?
right now the farmers have so much produce
Right,
that
that's
it's,
what I thought. That's what I was telling people.
yeah,
They-
if the
they
day
must
is
have
right.
so
they'll-
much that they can't
They'll come back out.
go anywhere with it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they can just go there and start selling it any day they want?
Well,
Right.
we have, they've been in communication with Renee for Sundays, especially if they've lost a Tuesday or a Saturday due to rain.
Right, yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, what was it, 8, 9 vendors there, 10?
Yeah, so I would not say any day. We've been in communication about Sunday just because of the excess of produce and if weather's been
I
bad.
think Sunday's a great day, yeah. Okay.
So these 4,600 going to be adjusted.
Yes.
Now we get to water utility.
Yep, we're very fortunate to have that corner.
Okay, so these are the utility funds. When we talk about Fund 60, 61, and 63, there's our water, sewer, and stormwater. Approximately $850,000 of wages are recorded in these funds. These funds rely on utility charges to pay the expenditures.
So no levy.
What are people saying about the village? They say we have high taxes, we have a spending problem, we're unaccountable, overspending and stuff. So from that meeting, we went and we really dug into it. What's out there to really, how can we compare ourselves to others, which isn't always a good thing, but it really, you don't know how well you're doing unless you can see someone else, how is this, how are other people doing? So we got these, when we compare ourselves to others, we looked at a couple different sources. One was the Wisconsin Policy Forum, and the other one was the MacGyver Institute. So for property taxes, where does the village stand? So I highlighted on the bottom, we're kind of in the middle there. For the 2023 tax levy per capita, we're at $473. Of the total taxes, residential pays 63%. Not terribly, so if you look up at the dots are the residential share per capita. You can see city of Schofield, they have the Green Huck fan, which is a lot in their community. They're actually pretty low. The residents don't pay the bulk of the bill there. Okay, shared revenue. This is one that we've been, those on the village board have heard us talk about this a lot. The village does not receive shared revenue compared to our other municipalities. So as you can see, for our shared revenue, we get $90 per capita. Which is pretty low. City of Schofield's close to us, but they're still a little bit higher.
I assume these two figures, the reason Rib Mountain isn't represented is because they weren't incorporated at the time these numbers.
Yep, as a reminder, these are 2022. This is the most recent information from this website. The next,
And the one prior to that was 23.
that was a 23 tax levy.
Right, tax levy. Okay,
Okay, so this one I talked about before. Great example, the city of Marinette with a population of approximately 11,000. And then the village of Weston with almost 16,000. Prior to the surplus where everyone got a bump, the village was just over $1 million. City of Marinette was 4.5. So they did this reallocation, everyone got more money. Village got $381,000 more, approximately 36%. City of Marinette almost got $1 million more. They got $994,000 more. They got 22% increase. The minimum increase was 20%. I feel like if we were to talk with someone, one of the reasons why there was a minimum increase is because they could not have got all the state senators on board to pass this. Because if their community was not being benefited, they wouldn't have been in favor of this, right? Unfortunately, it really didn't even everything out. So the village of Weston is still very low compensated per capita compared to other municipalities our size. The next one is fund balance. The village does have a good reserve of fund balance. As a percentage, it's 166% of net operating expenses. Fund balance per capita is $1,200. The next slide, get a little bit more personal. This is the fund balance that we've had. You can see those years where it really went up. That was during COVID. We had large surpluses. I think a lot of it was interest rates were going up too. So we had a bump there. We do have a policy for our fund balance. Our fund balance for cash flow has to be between 20 and 33.3% of the general fund operating expenditures of the ensuing year's budget. So when we look at it, when I look at 2024, so the end of 2024, that undesignated fund balance has to be between 20 and 33% of the 2025 operating budget. That's what that means. And we've been doing really well. I think it's the last couple of years when it looks like we are having a surplus. I always get the board to approve a transfer to capital. By transferring it to capital, it ensures that those additional funds are going to help the taxpayers in the future by lowering our debt because it will be used for one-time expenditures, capital expenditures to help lower our debt in the future. How do we rank 2022 general government spending per capita? We rank pretty low. We have $64 per capita goes to our general government. Next one, we'll just whip through these next few. Here's our net police spending. This was with Everest Metro yet, $189 per capita. We're kind of right in the middle there. Next one.
We had an EMS one in there too.
Yeah, EMS before that one, right?
Here's our debt per capita. The village is in the middle again. We have a $1,682 of debt per capita. 34.7% of the state statute is allowed. So the state allows you to borrow so much as a percentage of your equalized value, and we are well below that. Any questions?
I was just looking at this, how we rank per capita. We're on the low end of the spectrum.
We were forced, I mean, with the way that the village levy limits and the state revenues are and have been, the village has never had a lot of surplus funds to waste. I mean, when I first started here, that was still in the good time of the municipal government. We had to cut our budgets. We were an administrator cut. If you look on some of our budget worksheets, yeah, we still have administrator budget. We had to reduce our budgets by 10%. And the village has always been very conservative. The board has been very conservative. And I think these trends of what we're showing you, the per capita, that really shows we are conservative. People may look to our neighbors, but guess what? We have almost 16,000 people. Rothschild, Kronewetter, City Schofield, they don't come close. And City of Wausau is much larger than us, so they're hard to compare to also. But for our size, we're doing a lot with a little because we have to, and we've come up with some very creative ways to continue working efficiently and effectively with what we have.
I remember working on that, cutting the budget, cutting this, and then when we got that levy limit, we realized how much we had actually had handicapped ourselves because
We did.
you know, we were trying to keep things even And we did make cuts and we did, some road projects didn't happen and all this. And then when that levy limit came, we realized we were really stuck in a hard place.
Yeah, since I came back though, I was talking to Jamie, between the finance and clerks, we've lost 2 FTE. I mean, nobody ever talks about, we have continued to cut and make things work to balance this budget. People left, we didn't feel, other people took on those duties.
I mean. Like,
I don't know, it was good. The website's really cool. I wish they had more recent numbers. You can compare, if you want to do similar communities, you can compare yourselves. They don't necessarily have to be just in Marathon County. So I have the link in there. If anyone's interested, you can go on there. It's something, it gives you a little bit more information.
I mean, if you ever talk to Jessica, she'll remind you that it's hard to compare ourselves and say, well, we should be staffed like Marshfield or Rapids, who might be more close to our population. Because our revenue is so much different. Our revenue game is a lot less than what those communities get. So you and I, I could say, hey, they have 30 guys on their street crew and they only got 10 more miles than us. Well, that's great. We have 10. And we can only afford to have our 10, if that. So, it's really one of those hard things. And I think maybe as a village, we don't do a great job of letting our constituents understand or know what our constraints are. But, we do provide a lot of service, and that's where it gets tough as the staff when you hear people say misspending, overspending, those words, because you're like, man, like, even in the projected revenues, it showed, public works operations going up like 94,000. Our transportation aids are going up 125,000. So that's $30,000 of money that should be used for streets that we're still dispersing elsewhere to try to help. And I guess, Barb, you were around, Mark, probably in that 2010-11 time when we stopped spending on our streets. And then we were relying on our transportation aids to fund a lot more of our general government functions. We started losing 100,000 plus a year in transportation aids. And then we really did have to start making those cuts because we didn't have tax dollars or any other levy to help. So, now that we're kind of getting back on that upswing, I guess, myself, I just want to make sure we're aware of how, when we get money for, roads or streets, we're making sure that we're at least using some of that for roads and
Well,
streets.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to where every street just about needed
Well,
reconstruction.
and like when I started, we had 11 guys on the street crew. At one point, we were down to 8. And I think we were sharing at least one of those people with parks. So like every other week, a person rotate between doing park duties or street duties. So we weren't spending money on new roads. We reduced our staff size by 3 FTEs to maintain the roads. And it got brutal for a while there. So yeah, as we're able to start adding people back to where we once were, 15, 16 years ago, I guess, some of us have lived it and we just want to make sure we don't relive it.
Now that road money we get from DOT, is that gonna continue coming or the new governor gonna cut it?
So like as far as grant funding or the transportation aids?
Just transportation.
I don't see transportation aids getting cut. That seems to be one thing that gets bipartisan support, whether you have a Democratic or Republican controlled, legislature or governor. The Road Builders Association in the state of Wisconsin is a pretty strong lobbying group. And I think if a governor or a legislature cut street funding, at least drastically, I think there'd be a lot of angry people and that person wouldn't hold office for very long. So I'm not too worried about transportation aid funding going away.
Which one they cut before? Because one of them, we wanna get them enough money from our roads.
So that's what I was saying. So our transportation aids are based off of how much you spend.
Yeah.
So the more you spend, the more money the state gives you. So but you gotta make sure that as you spend money, you you utilize it for your roads, because if you spend money and you use it for, I don't know, say concerts, right? Those concerts don't bring in transportation, you know, you're not spending money on transportation, but you're spending money on something else. Then all of a sudden you go, oh, shoot. So we just need to make, as the
We
guy
have
who
it.
sees it.
Up on the screen, if you look up in 2018 through 2020, you can see those large decreases in intergovernmental revenue. That's when we were still losing our transportation aid. That was a very difficult time. That was for 10 years. We received reductions in our transportation aid. It started with a $112,000 reduction in 2012. And we finally, in 2021, were able to see a slight increase. But for all those years, that large dollar of revenue reduction, we were able to absorb. I mean, even with our limited property tax increases, we were able to absorb those reductions. I think that's it.
Questions?
Like I said, we're gonna bring back this hopefully with more detail, more information. We'll get the department directors, so more people are talking and really showing you what the budgets actually do. What are you funding? What services are you providing with the budget that you see up there? So we'll bring that back. I think that's the next item, I guess. Kind of covered that.
Do you want to go to the next item on the?
Oh, sure. So number 6, discussion interaction on 26 budget priorities.
Open discussion, if there are things that we want to make sure, kind of seeing this snapshot that the board feels strongly about planning for.
There was a comment earlier, you know, that we don't have the money to spend, or we're not allocating money for needed services, especially public safety. And, you know, both departments, and I'm talking about the police and the fire and EMS, but the police is in itself, and so is the fire. The fire fee is because of the need for more personnel. So if the personnel wasn't an issue, we're fine. We're in the black. And I think that's misconstrued or misunderstood sometimes, that, you know, that we don't have enough money to fund EMS and fire. Because right now, currently, we do. And it's in the black. It's been in the black for 5 years, 4 years. It was in the red when I first got on the SAFER board. 3 now, 3 we've been.
4 years.
We've corrected it. We're doing some different things. But it's the 9 new additional personnel that is believed that's needed for both communities. 65% of the bill would be here and 35% would be in SAFER. No, that's Rothschild. That's
68.
68. Yep. Okay. So I think that needed to be corrected. So.
Can I add to that too? What SAFER is doing is they're asking for 9 new people at one time. There was conversation in the past that we would gradually add on, but that SAFER grant, these additional grant funds, they can't be used for just adding 1 person a year. And that's why we're seeing this request for 9, because in the next so many years, we're gonna need that. We actually need them now, but we would have probably hired that many, but this way we're getting a grant to help us do it all at once.
You initially made the SAFER board made the determination that we needed more. The SAFER grant came afterwards.
Mhm.
You know, and it's not SAFER because of the name SAFER. It just happens to be billed as the SAFER grant. But, you know, we initially started talking about 12, and then we scaled it back to 9. And 9 is 3 shifts. It's 3 personnel per shift, and it would add more to each of the 2 stations. So it keeps getting talked about, it keeps getting hurled around that we're underwater, and we're not underwater. It's the need for the more personnel.
So the grant actually makes it so it does almost get added in incrementally over the years. So it isn't necessarily one big hit. It
Right.
is it 3 or 4 year?
It's a 3-year.
3 year.
What is it, 65 or 75?
used to be 100.
Yeah, it was 100 the first year and then it scaled back, then they reversed it or changed it real quick.
That's one of the reasons why we're coming up too, because it was 100%. So when we were talking about this beginning of the year, they're getting 100% yet.
Yep.
So I think that's part of which we forget to talk about because we all know what happened, but we forget to let everybody else.
Wassa got, that, what did they have, an initial surge of 15 or 18, I think, or something, or 12? And
Well,
initially that first year was done either through a grant or through the governor or something. And, but now I would bet they're on year 3 now.
I think they're looking for much.
Yeah, now they'll be, the 4th year, they'll be paying the whole thing themselves, so. Okay,
Question.
then you, Joel. Okay, go ahead, Ushing.
We share the pool with the Rothschild and Schofield. Is that 40,000 decrease or how much decrease or our cost gonna go higher?
We haven't had a conversation with them on what cost would be. The conversation that they had shared at the Parks meeting was that they would like to see the addition of a smaller pool added if we did a group. If we came together on a joint venture. We talked tonight at Parks that although that would be a really nice feature, it's not something that we are looking to add right now. We would still consider a joint venture where they would be considered residents and would receive a resident rate for a season pass, but not something where we would be looking to add that smaller pool in the immediate future. So that we have to go back and have that conversation with Rothschild and Schofield and see if there would still be that interest in the continuing of the partnership.
So, and we've never had it, so some of the, when the kids are early age, some of those parents, some of those families will go over to Rothschild and Schofield to use their wading pool. And then some of Rothschild and Schofield's residents will come over here to use the bigger equipment, the bigger pool, the more apparatus. And I think if that closure happens, they would like to have a wading pool here to take care of everybody. Our own residents would like a wading pool, but we never put it in. So maybe that agreement looks like 5 or 10 years, we might do it or consider it. But I don't think we are gonna be held to having to put it in right away, or even the first couple of years, so.
Still,
But there's a monetary number that's gonna come over from those two communities over to us.
I don't think we should do it if our price gonna go higher.
No, it won't.
My concern is that $40,000 we put in right now.
Yep.
If we can decrease that number, it's something to look for.
And we're hearing some numbers, correct? And I don't believe it's gonna be higher. I mean, not only I don't believe it, we won't go if it's higher.
Or the cost gonna go higher because there's more people coming and more maintenance, there's more.
I mean,
Worried in that
so. You got a pool, it's being used, we're at 75% or 100%. I don't know if, it's like a fixed and a variable rate. So you got a truck going down the road. It's the same cost as on that truck if it's 75% full or 100% full, to some degree, maybe a little bit more gas. So if you're utilizing that pool at 100%, that's the most money that can be coming in. They're all paid, so if you only have 75% using that pool, that's 25% of revenue that you're not collecting. So if Rothschild and Schofield bring in and we hit 100%, 60% of the time, that's gonna be monstrous. Plus, there'll be some monetary gain for them coming over that we've planned this agreement.
It is your interest.
Yep.
I'm
And-
just
and
looking at
it's-
that money, that's all.
Yep, it's still in the works and it's still being talked about. So Joe, you had a question?
So, trying to go back on the history, so were there more volunteers here at Weston previously that we were able to have men for all of the equipment? I mean, when did we add more equipment and didn't have the guys, or where did the imbalance come from?
I think the imbalance, and correct me if I'm wrong without the chief here, but the EMS calls have gone up so high that, I think 60% of the time, or it could be at 60% of the time, that if there's a fire call, everybody's out. That's what happened in Red Mountain when there was a house that burned to the ground in Red Mountain, and Riverside was the first one there. And, so those people that drive right by that fire department saw all that equipment sitting there and nobody came to put the fire out. It happened to be up on the hill also, and the pressure of the water wouldn't have got up there. They would have had to take tankers there constantly. But Rothschild was the first one on scene. I think 14 or 15 minutes later.
I think the other piece of that, and Jessica can add on, but so we are a partnership with Safer. It's us and it's Rib Mountain. And I think that there's been a desire to maybe add on a little bit more gradual, but it's still a partnership. And so both still have to agree. We both have agreed to apply for the grant and to add the 9. But you know, could we have done maybe some increment, maybe incrementally add, maybe, but we still needed to come to an agreement as 2 partners in that organization. We have, in the past, like last year, we did say we would provide for an extra staff, but we ended up cutting staff in last year's budget in the end. So that's not to say that we are in disagreement and that we don't enjoy our partnership in order to provide fire and EMS service, but I just think it's not something that happened instantaneously.
But to his point though, Joe is talking about Weston's fire department being volunteers. Right. Those are just not out there anymore. I wish the chief was here to answer that. But over the years, those have just diminished. And I mean, I've heard him talk about it many, many times that it would have never survived that volunteer side. It's just not there. You know, even our own people that are there part-time, they're constantly looking for a full-time department. To get to be full-time. So we should have the chief talk about that a little bit more. And
Try volunteer.
and also in the middle of all this, we were having some talks about merging with Schofield and Rothschild to Riverside. And that fell a little bit maybe because of the pool and maybe because maybe some identity issues with one of the communities. But I think that's been okay now with the police side, because the police side is the owners of the police of the Mountain Bay Metro is Rothschild and Weston. And prior to that, it was also Schofield and also the town of Weston. And now Schofield and the town of Weston have opted to have an everyday low price of a contract versus ownership. And so now they have a contracted price for both of those communities. And now that's the one I'm right on at 65-35, I believe, right, for Mountain Bay Metro on the split, Jessica?
65-35 is
65-35, yeah, is that split? So.
Fire is figured out by 3 variables every year.
Right, 3 different variables. But it's a no-brainer that we've got to get fire together, and I think that'll help this whole equation with staffing. It also would give us 3 good locations for you know, Rib Mountain, Rothschild location with the fire department, and this one here in Weston.
So how many other municipalities do we have an agreement as far as assisting?
Assisting, we have one with Riverside. We have one with Cornwater, I believe. We have one with Wausau. We have signed agreements with any of our neighboring. When we can bring in Easton, we can bring in Ringgold, Hatley. I'll tell you, that's where it all works really well. Same with the police. The police works really well when you get the politics out of it. And everyone's there, everyone's assisting. You've got a 3 or 4 alarm fire. You've got 4 departments coming right now. So that's never been an issue.
Marathon County is a MABUS county, a mutual aid box alarm system county, which Louis probably can explain better than I
Right.
can, but.
But it is. And, you know, so if your question is going a little further, that, you know, was the decision to do the 9, was that right? That we could still stay with, you know, the current status?
Well, how do you-
Maybe.
Okay, so if you go to another area,
Mhm.
is there reimbursement or compensation?
No,
when
because
you-
we're MABUS.
We're
We
MABUS.
all support each other.
All
No.
support each
We
other.
get their services in return.
Yeah.
When we have so if we have a fire here in the village of Weston, they'll auto dispatch certain equipment from Riverside, Wausau to come assist us. And then when there's a structure fire in the city of Wausau, there's auto dispatch for other neighboring communities to automatically go there with certain pieces of equipment. That way, when a structure fire happens at a certain address, the right pieces of equipment, you know, everything is coming together much, you know.
You're
more
exactly right.
efficiently.
I know there's a certain scenario that we have to send an ambulance to Wausau when there's something out. So if they have so much equipment out, then automatically we send an ambulance to Wausau to help assist with their calls. And likewise, both ways. So there's many times that we'll have something here in the village that Riverside will come versus Rib Mountain. So,
Well, I get that, but, you know, so if you had a relatively large fire, let's say, the majority of the help then would come from the department that has the most personnel or equipment, not, I mean, that would be the, you know, if you're gonna help each other with this, at some point, how do you balance how much equipment and people are contributing to the overall, you know, the large geography that you're covering? You're telling me there's no way that you keep track of the cost of doing that, you know, I mean, so and when I say that, you know, I have no idea how you keep track of the cost of.
Oh, I'm sure there's a way that they have that.
I'm sure the chief would probably have a decent idea of how much they auto aid for.
So if we have this agreement with these other municipalities, are we in fact contributing our fair share towards that?
Or more.
Yeah,
Or less, yep,
Right.
that's a question I'm gonna have
how do you?
Chief Hickey dive into with, either him or Eric are gonna dive into those stats and get us those stats back. I think we need to see those stats, yeah.
So I mean, if we're gonna contribute, if we're gonna add guys, if it was because we're not really contributing our fair share to the entire area, well, then we're really neglecting our responsibility to not only to ask them for help, but we're really not willing to help you, right? I mean, it's like, we're not willing to make the investment to help you or carry our share of the load. So I guess I'm curious if anybody's kind of keeping track of over a period of time, who's really spending the most money to, in that public safety arena.
Okay.
And fire obviously is the most expensive, right? You know, when you just.
Well, for the apparatus, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
EMS is
right,
ambulances. And but that's also the hardest one to staff. Because everyone is trained, you know, on both. And, but the calls are, the calls are well over 70 or 80% EMS versus fire. And so when you have that many, that much equipment out and personnel out, you can't react to the fire. And that's why, that's a tough one, yeah.
So,
Okay.
when you get into that ambulance arena, are people more likely to call because they can, as opposed to how serious the need is, you know what I mean? So when you do those calls,
A resident or a
yeah,
community?
resident, talk about.
Resident?
Yeah, so when, you know, so if the call is, you know, so that was a deal with insurance, you know, so you know, and I can only go back to what I'm familiar with at Weston Supply.
Mhm.
We really tried to get people to be proactive in taking care of themselves and paying for some of that themselves.
Mhm.
The reality is that as you compete for employees, you need to be willing to obviously contribute some portion, you know, and it would seem like whenever we were in that position that we were contributing the vast majority of the cost, people were using it for whatever, you know, I mean, they had no skin in the game, so to
Right.
speak.
Right.
So who pays for ambulance calls?
Mhm.
Is it a,
The person using the ambulance has to pay through insurance or whatever, they're paying a certain fee for that ambulance coming for the amount of personnel for a transport that's paid for by you when you call.
Yeah, fire, there's no fee, but ambulance, there is a fee, and we're collecting, everyone is collecting, not just Safer, but all agencies are collecting at about 50%.
But Medicare and Medicaid have a flat
Ceiling,
bill rate.
yep, they have a ceiling.
So if that's where it's charged to, you get a certain dollar amount reimbursement, and that's what you get.
And Medicaid is really
Mhm.
a low paid.
well, I bet.
Yeah, it is.
Medicare is, I think they make a little bit off of it, but it's too, you know, the bill is this much and, well, you've seen,
Mhm.
I'm sure where you look at your statements and you go, wow, they charge that much, but this is all they're gonna agree to, you know, and,
Or a certain,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so are you keeping track of that? I mean, so
Yes.
the,
The chief is, and we can have him pull those numbers.
and it's about half of what the actual cost is that you're reimbursed?
Everywhere, every
Yeah,
agency.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
you're getting about half of what you bill out for ambulance services, yeah. That's about it. I think it's 52 or 54% is what we're getting back.
We'd have to just confirm with the billing company and what our
Yeah.
return is on that. I know it's better with this new billing company.
Yep,
so
the
I
new
think-
billing is a little bit more
Medicaid,
regional, yeah.
Medicaid is ridiculous.
Mhm.
as
Well,
far as
you know,
Medicaid.
out of town or a bill not from this area, they just don't pay. You know, and what we try to do is put a fee also on the ski hill, you know, to, $2, $1 a ticket or $2 a
Mhm.
ticket, just to help the revenues. And we just couldn't get that to happen, so. You know, cause there's a lot of calls up there at ski hill, a lot of out of town people. And a lot of ambulance runs up there. So, yeah.
Other budget priorities?
Mm-hmm. Is that, you had a lot there, so
Yeah,
your
well,
question on
like
the
I said,
volunteer thing, I'm
yeah.
gonna have that answered too.
Yeah. so-
Could that effectively still be happening? I've had a few calls, from people, one was from a former trustee that thought we should get out of our agreement with Safer and to go back to what we used to do. And it talked to the chief, and I think he did too, and it's just wouldn't be viable, period. There's just no way you'd have the person power to do it, so. Yeah. Was there something else? Anybody else have a hand up?
Our next meeting will be here right before Safer, so it'll be a good.
I will reach out to
Yeah.
chief and also the
Yeah, it's-
Eric and get those stats.
Yeah. So between all the communities, I get the sense that there's a significant amount of equipment. And if we really don't have enough personnel to man that equipment on any given day, obviously then staff is a serious problem. And again, you buy the equipment and you amortize it over some 10 years, 15 years, whatever. That expense is pretty steady, but the cost of having personnel continues to go up more on an annual basis. And I mean, that's just a reality.
The staffing of fire is a tough one because the lower percentage of fires. EMS is constant. It is like the chief said, I think at the last meeting, I don't think anybody gets more than 2 or 3 hours of sleep at the most. And they're on, I think, 48 hours straight. And but for fire, when we had our volunteer here, when it was just Weston, when I was on the board, I got calls constantly that the firemen are outside grilling on a grill or they're throwing a football around. And I go, you know what? Their chores are done, their cleaning is done, they've done this, they've done the cooking. They're exercising or they're cooking for themselves, but it was constant. The calls that they drive by, see the grill out or see them throwing a football or frisbee around. And I just couldn't believe that was their issue. I didn't know what else they were supposed to do. And you certainly don't see that anymore. I drive by there all the time. I go by Safer in Rib Mountain all the time. I have never, not once, seen someone sitting outside.
So all firemen are qualified to be on that ambulance?
Right now, it's a requirement.
Yes.
I don't believe we have any fire people that are not dual trained. And I misunderstood something. I talked to the administrator here and I talked to the chief and Eric, the deputy chief. I thought we were gonna hire 9 people to be fire only. And I did, and then I got corrected that nope, it's gonna be a dual role across the board. So potentially, as EMS calls go up, we could still have that same conundrum where there may be times where no one's there. With nine people hired, each one is a shift. We're adding 3 shifts to the schedule. And potentially there could still be everyone out on an EMS call and no one available for fire. And then we'd be calling for support from Wausau or Riverside or Corona Wetter. And the percentages go down, but I remember after that house burned down in Red Mountain, we probably had 40 or 50 people in there all saying they would gladly pay $100 or $200 more, to that. And I think that's kind of where it all started. It was about 2 years ago. And there was a couple residents that had moved from different areas that had fire fees. I think one was from Illinois. She still comes to our board meetings at Safe in Rib Mountain. But yeah. Go ahead.
A couple of years, well, several years ago, and I just often wondered how many fire calls we actually get in a year approximately, because there is a thing in your homeowner's insurance thing policy that they actually could reimburse your fire department, they would reimburse them $500 for a fire. And we actually had passed an ordinance to allow that. And then Green Mountain decided they didn't want to do that. But I just think that it's not gonna pay for much. But I just kind of think, well, we have no problem billing for ambulance. Why do we have a problem with a $500 charge and the insurance would pay it? But right now it's an unused revenue.
We have those stats available for EMS and fire. Every single month we get them at the Safer Board. We need to start sharing those with both of the boards, Red Mountain and here. And that's another one. I'll go back a couple of years. It'll be easier for them to collect it and we'll be able to see those numbers.
Well,
They are part of Chief's packet too.
Right,
or Mr.
yes, they are.
and would they ever, not that it, like I said, it's gonna bring in a huge revenue, but it'd bring in some to look at that fee again,
Mhm.
that, like I said, it's in your insurance policies. And it's there, you're paying for it, but we don't charge at all for anything on a fire.
Mhm. No, we don't. Okay. We're still in questions, right?
Priorities.
Our priorities, I mean. Any more?
I don't have anything specific to point out other than over the past few years, our water quality and all that has been kind of a priority. And I want to continue to see that be a priority for us to continue to work on resolving some of those issues in our drinking water that we've been making some great progress on the past few years and to continue on that trend, which I think through our capital projects, we already have some good plans in place, but I'd just like to see that continue to be a priority.
Michael, when is the treatment plant gonna be done?
The granular activated carbon tanks half of them were delivered today. I think the other half are slated for delivery tomorrow. So, that portion of getting that, well 4 back up and running and online. I'm hoping probably in about, 6 weeks here, by the end of September, it should be kind of put back together and,
All four is where?
the one right behind the old municipal center.
Okay, all right.
And then the work for well 3 is currently out for bid. That would have the iron manganese removal as part of it.
Is that Ladle?
That's the one right next to the safer, the one in front.
Okay.
So
So when is the bid opening for that?
this 3rd,
3rd of September?
correct.
Okay.
So they'll be on agendas in September to award that project.
And the building, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
These projects are related to the wells.
Correct.
They're all gonna be completed by end of this year.
Well 3 won't be complete by the end of this year. They'll just get started probably around the beginning of the year, but well 4 would be back up and running. So we'd be able to utilize wells 6, 7, and 8. And then well 4 again, which would be essentially our no iron, no manganese, no PFAS water. So it's our, essentially the best water we can provide.
Great.
Okay.
The building going up in Red Mountain?
That one's remote and
That's
water district.
Sanitary district or water district?
It's their water. So that's their PFAS water treatment plant.
Okay. When is that projected to be done?
I'm not sure
That's
about,
only Red Mountain,
that's only Red Mountain.
not the sanitary district. Oh,
No.
jeez,
That's the only.
that is huge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good presentation. Thought provoking, that's for sure. Any more questions? Let's see, number 7, begin review and discussion. Did you need any action? No. Okay. So number 7, begin review and discussion of 26 budget, general fund revenues and expenditures. We've been doing that?
Yes.
I thought. Any more questions at all from the board? Remarks from staff? Any remarks from staff?
Not related to budget, but just a friendly reminder that tomorrow night is the last night for music at Mockmiller Park at 7 o'clock. So it would be great to see people come out for the last night of music, and big thanks to Jackson for
Very
putting
much.
this all together
Yeah.
this year.
Yes, I've heard a lot about that and a lot about Kennedy Park last week. Good stuff. Remarks from trustees, wait, No, Joe, any more? Shane?
No.
Barb? No, I have nothing other. Remarks from the president, I have nothing I said. The next meeting on this would be September 9th. 15th, the 22nd, October 6th, and 20th for circling back. Future meeting, or topics for future meetings. Future meetings is Monday the 9th, September the 15th, September the 22nd, October 6th, and October 20th. Our next meeting, I believe, is the 15th or 22nd, 15th.
The regular meeting is the 15th, so
15th, yep.
yep, that one will be
Okay.
part of regular
Yep.
meeting.
Okay,
The one on the 9th, that 4 o'clock is here, and then Safer meets in here at 5:30, so that's why it's just a good dovetail
Yeah.
for.
you two together, okay.
Just a
Mhm.
note is on September 22nd. I will not be here.
Okay,
The 9th is a Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
It says
the
Monday.
9th. Oh,
it says a Monday,
Monday,
yeah.
apologies.
So the 22nd though, that's a board at following parks, so the board meeting is. Just
Yeah.
so you know. Okay.
So err on that, the 9th is a Tuesday.
With nothing else, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn by Zagami,
Second.
second by Jordan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. We're now adjourned at 7:26. Thank you all.
Nice.